let's go. Many times people want to know if God really exists or if he has any impact or influence in our lives. And what I always say is you would really have to get to know this God to really know if he has any transforming impact. Now, I met this woman who I heard had lost her child in one of those attacks in Jos. So I sat down with this woman and I said, hey, could you tell me what happened that morning? She said, well, her son had just graduated the week before from the university. He came back home that weekend and thought he needed to go just say hi to his friends, just, long time no see, chit chat. But that morning she said, why do you want to go out that early? He said, well, it's liberating to leave the university campus and just go out and feel how the town, is for that morning. So he took his bath and came out. Then she waited, an hour later, she heard that there was a bomb blast. And the woman now, of course, there was this commotion, people were running, she also went out. She couldn't get to the scene because of the police and everything, but she came back. But somehow, it dawned on her about an hour and a half later that she has not heard from her son. So she tried her cell phone, but it wasn't going, and she began to panic. She now asked a few friends if they knew, and somebody said they did see him on the road as he was walking down the street, but nobody really knew where he was going. She waited another hour, and then it dawned on her that something was terribly wrong. The first thing usually you do in things like this is you try to get to the scene, you get to the hospitals and get to the morgue. And of course, after going around all these places, she went to the morgue and there was her son. So I said to her, but how do you feel all this? She said she feels so angry. She feels so bad she wants to die. And I said, well, have you tried Jesus Christ? Do you have the heart to forgive? She said she is a Christian, but she does not know if she wants to forgive because they've done so terribly. I mean, this is her son, the first son in the family. She has all her hopes on him. And I said, well, could we just pray? I just want to pray with you. And she agreed. And when we started praying, and I asked God to forgive us all for all the sins we've done and give us the heart to forgive, the woman started crying. And she wept through the prayers. After we were done, she looked at me and she said, why did you come? I mean, why are you here? I said, I don't know. I just thought I needed to have this interview, but I also believe that you don't need to carry this burden, that God has this capacity to just release you and just set you free. I mean, things happen, but we also have a loving God. At the end of the prayer, she offered me a drink and I sat down, because she had cried, I thought I needed to just stay with her for a short while. But by the time I left, this woman was smiling. She said, thank you for coming. I just have this release now. I now know that whatever happens, I feel the love of God. I just feel this warmth in my heart to say that all is well. Now, if this does not express the God that we serve, I don't know what else. I don't know if psychology or science would have lifted that burden off this woman's heart. I don't know how many sessions of psychologist she needs to see. I don't know how much she needs to spend, to do this. But that we know we serve a living God and that he lives in our heart is just true. Thank you. I was in the office this morning and I had this phone call, of course, that there was this community that was undergoing stress. So I grabbed this little camera I had and took a motorbike and I ran into the bush. Actually, it was about 15 miles into the community. But halfway through, I had to drop the motorbike and walk almost another 7 miles to the bush, where there was this gang of young men who were ready, they were armed. I had never seen in my life young, untrained boys carry such automatic weapons. I can't say what they're. I mean, there was, of course, all the AK-47s. There's this one that has this chain of bullets around it like a belt, and so many other things, both the locally fabricated guns and everything. And I got so afraid because they got to this little hill, and just ahead of us was this military truck with, I think, with about 10 or 15 soldiers in that truck. And these boys wanted to take on the soldiers because one of the soldiers had shot a woman in the community, and they were ready on a vengeance. And I thought to myself, I said, God, please, whatever you need to do, it has to happen now. Because there were about, I think I would say almost 50 of these young men, but I was 100% sure that they wouldn't withstand these trained soldiers. We will be chopped down. This was about 9:30 in the morning. At about 10, after all this talk, I tried to talk with the leader of the youth to say, please, could we just turn down this thing and let's talk about this? What is it really? Because I don't think these young boys, some of them actually between the ages of 14 to 21, can take on trained soldiers. But nobody was willing to listen to me. There was this elderly man, and I said, please, could you appeal to these young men? Let's just talk. We need peace. He said, no, they are angry. There's nothing he can do. At about 12 noon, I looked back from where I was coming, and I thought to myself, even if I had to run, it will take me at least 30 minutes to get to anywhere where there was any building, even to get to my bike, and that would have been a big problem. Then in the distance, there was this little cloud, and I said, well, I didn't at first pay attention to it, but within 15 minutes, this cloud grew to a huge thunderstorm. And in 20 minutes, it rained. The rain that fell with hailstone, these little blocks of ice. And I said, Father, thank you for this, because you couldn't see more than a few feet ahead of you. And I said, Lord, thank you for bringing this rain. I need to get out of here. If this is what you've done to get me out of here, thank you. Of course, my camera was soaked, but I was happy anyway. And I ran as fast as I could. But again, that was what diffused the entire situation. The young boys, of course, couldn't use those weapons on those raids. They couldn't really see where they were going. But as soon as I got to the nearest village, the rain had stopped completely, as if it had not rained that morning. And this rain came in I think it rained for about 15, 20 minutes, and it stopped. By the time I got back to the office, I was soaked and I was cold. And people were asking, what happened? I said, can't you see it's rain? They said, what rain? I mean, it didn't rain here. I mean, yeah, we could hear some thunderclap somewhere, but we really don't know where the rain was. Then I told them the story, and they just looked at me. And I said, look, if there is a miracle, it happened to me. It is just a story of the Lord that we serve. Was it coincidence? Yes, it could have been. But that it happened on a day afternoon, after a sunlight, bright morning, and then there was this thunderstorm, tropical thunderstorm, typical of it. And I happened to be there at that moment, appealing for the lives of these young men and my life to get out of this bush. I wouldn't call that coincidence. I definitely would not. I would just simply say, because I prayed, the Lord answered. Again, the God we serve is real. We could explain him through nature, we could explain him through any other thing, but deep in my heart, I know that he lives. And I also know that he will live in your heart.